What's going on, everyone? So let's get into the D'Angelo Russell report per Dave McMinen on the situation with the Lakers, Darvin Ham, and just kind of the chaos that's gone on, right? D'Angelo Russell kind of broke the sports internet a little bit. One of the big points that he talked about, which kind of signals to a problem with Darvin Ham, is favoritism, right? D'Angelo Russell, one of the things that he pointed out and highlighted was that Darvin Ham's relationship with Dennis Schroeder really kind of hindered him. And a lot of people seem kind of split on it, right? A lot of people are like, well, hey, you should take accountability. You were really bad, right? It wasn't like Darvin Ham's benching of you wasn't justified and things like that. But to me, yes, that's correct, right? D'Lo was not very good in the Denver series. But to me, it's not so much D'Lo not taking accountability. It's highlighting a big issue with Darvin and the lack of communication, right? You see D'Lo, and he even talked about another thing that I find a little surprising is this seems like news to a lot of people. He talked about this already, not like in detail about like the Dennis Schroeder situation, but D'Lo on Patrick Beverley's podcast, I believe it was, basically broke down like last season. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I didn't know what my role was. I didn't know there was no communication in my part. Right? And to me, it's not that D'Lo isn't, and look, this is just my interpretation. Of course, I want to hear yours down in the comments, but to me, it wasn't that he wasn't saying like, oh, I played bad or I played good. It was more so of like, I didn't know what I needed to do, and there was no communication from the head coach as to what my role is, what are you looking for me to improve on? How can I be in a better position in order to have success with this team, with this roster, right? Like you look at D'Lo, even when he came to the Lakers, he was just kind of thrown into the fire. And there was a lot of times where he kind of just didn't seem to know where he was, right? It was kind of like what Spencer Dinwiddie is right now, right? Except D'Lo is just a better shooter. He's better off ball, things like that. But you see with Spencer Dinwiddie, at times it's like he doesn't even know where he's supposed to be, what he's supposed to do, what's his role. I have the basketball. Am I supposed to be aggressive? Am I supposed to give the ball up, right? Am I looking for Anthony Davis? Do I just defer to LeBron? Like, what is my role here? And D'Lo has harped on this several times over the last like year and some change, where he's talked about like, hey, like 1 minute they want me to shoot, right? Play off ball more. Okay, I shoot 42% from three, right? What else do you need from me? Okay, we need you to play better defense. Okay, I'm playing the best defense of my career. Okay, well, what else do you need, right? And D'Lo's trying to fit in and play the role. Now, he talks about how Darvin Ham, shows the favoritism to Dennis Schroeder, and because of their relationship, Darvin never opened the door for D'Lo. It was just essentially, again, what I'm gathering from the report is, okay, you're just playing poorly, so I'm just going to cast you to the side and we're just going to focus here on Dennis Schroeder, who is not like Dennis Schroeder was playing that great. I mean, defensively, obviously better, but like offensively, he was super inconsistent, right? So it's not like it was like a clear upgrade. And maybe if there was communication, D'Lo could have been better. That's kind of, again, what I gathered from the situation was that like there was no channel of communication for me and the head coach while Dennis Schroeder was here, because Dennis Schroeder was Darvin's guy. So in crisis, when all else fails, go to Dennis Schroeder rather than trying to have a conversation to correct the issue or the lack of quality play, right? That's what I gathered. And you see that still this season, Taurean Prince, right? It's like whenever Darvin Ham doesn't seem to know what to do, he just goes and brings Taurean Prince in, even if that's not what the situation calls for, right? It's like Darvin Ham has his like safety blankets, and so what does he do? He goes to his safety blankets to get those to kind of, okay, well now let's see what happens. And to me, this just highlighted more of the issues of Darvin Ham, right? Like the lack of utilization of players. Right? Again, I've talked about this heavily. D'Lo's just highlighting what I've been saying for months now, which is that Darvin Ham doesn't know how to utilize guys properly and doesn't know how to put guys in proper position. That's what the whole thing that D'Lo is talking about. He was never put in slot in a proper position. Even early in the season, D'Lo had his struggles because he was playing a similar role to last season where there was no real carved out awareness, right? Like, what am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to be? Am I just standing in the corner the whole time? Right? Am I like, what is my role? And then you saw through communication, which is what D'Lo's referring to, now he's able to have that communication, and they've been able to build a better relationship, right? And what happens? D'Lo has been amazing this year and has completely turned it around and has been our third best player by far this season, right? Because guess what? He has a role carved out, right? He has an understanding of what he's supposed to do and where he's supposed to go and what is expected for him. And he also talks about that LeBron, the article talks about that LeBron and Anthony Davis, that they trust him and that they believe in him and that they basically, volleyed for him to be in a more prominent role and be able to kind of take over the ball handling duties and do the things necessary, which should have been the case from the beginning. I talked about it. Why do you get a point guard? You've been searching for a point guard for years. Dennis Schroeder the first time. You go and trade for Russell Westbrook. Dennis Schroeder the second time. You end up trading for D'Angelo Russell. You've been trying to find a point guard to take pressure off of LeBron James, allow LeBron to play more off ball, but also have somebody that can play off ball when LeBron does have the basketball. You found him. D'Angelo Russell. He's been perfect at it. Like, seriously, he's been about as good as you could be in that third role, off ball, on ball, mixing and matching. So to me, it's like you're seeing the same thing with Spencer Dinwiddie, right? You went and got Spencer Dinwiddie because he fit a real key need that this team had. Playmaking off the bench, a secondary scorer off the bench, right? Because, Rui was kind of back and forth. Now he's in the starting lineup. So now even a primary scoring option, whatever, right? It was to fill in a specific role that you haven't had all season. Because when D'Lo and LeBron go to the bench, everything just stalls. Austin Reeves hasn't been good enough in that primary playmaker role. But then you bring in Spencer Dinwiddie, and he's just basically a corner 3-and-D guy. Like, why did you bring him in? You might as well have gotten a Daniel House or a Joe Harris, somebody that's their role. That's what the role has always been. But instead, you go and you get a guy for a specific use, and you don't use him. This is my problem with Darvin Ham, period. Rui Hachimura, he's been great this season, but he's not a 3, he's a 4, and you don't utilize him. Most of the time, he's standing out in the corner. Rui had to take it upon himself to not settle, to start pump faking, getting to the back, creating for himself, rather than the coach putting the player in a position to create for. D'Lo's just highlighting the issues that have been very prominent all season. Now, you could argue like timing, right? Like, this is bad timing for the Lakers. The Lakers are really kind of building some momentum, trying to get to that 6th seed, trying to make a postseason push. Like, is this the best time to have this report? Probably not, right? But like, I don't think that this is news to anybody. Right? And it does highlight that, like, the relationship has kind of been mended, like, things are better. But it's to me, I gathered from this report that Darvin Ham needs to go. I mean, that's what it is. No matter what happens, right? He needs to go. Even if the Lakers win the championship this year. Sad thing is if they do, or if they get to the conference finals, my concern is that the Lakers don't make the decision to fire him. Like, if they make to the conference finals and they lose to Denver again, do the Lakers look at that as like, okay, like, we still need to fire Darvin Ham? Or do they look at that as like 2 years in a row, his rookie year and his sophomore year, he goes to the conference finals, right? Like, and we just lose to Denver both times. So we need to, instead of getting a new coach, we just need to build the roster better to match up with Denver, right? Like, how do they look at that? Or if the Lakers make it to the finals, do they look at it and go, well, we lost in the conference finals, we lost in the NBA finals, so can we do it next year and win the finals, right? Like, that's my concern. Or especially if they win the finals, do they just go, well, his first year, he made it to the conference finals. Second year, they won the championship. So why would we get rid of a championship coach? Like, that's my concern. But even if they win the championship, I think at this point, like, the writing's been on the wall. Like, I mean, how much more do you need to see? How much more do you need to hear? It's the same repetitive narrative. Like, it's not like different things. It's like He at times doesn't seem to know what he's doing. He has favoritism over players that he has relationships with in the past, even if it's at a detriment to the Lakers or to the team, right? To the point where Dennis Schroeder, I mean, there was times where he would heavily overplay Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder was having a terrible game. And you're just like, dude, can we get Schroeder out of the game, please? But that was his guy. Taurean Prince, same thing. I love Taurean Prince. I've defended Taurean Prince a lot this season, right? But I understand why people have like a bad taste towards Taurean Prince because Darvin Ham overplays him. Because even to a point, to a detriment, when it's like, dude, can we get him out of this game? And yet Darvin Ham still will keep him in there, right? Like, it's just highlighting more of the issues of Darvin Ham, I just think is in over his head. So I think either A, you need to fire him and replace him, or B, you need to get somebody on the bench that understands the X's and O's. And Darvin Ham is just basically the face, right? He's just the guy that's the team guy. But the communication is a problem, right? Because you're seeing that highlighted. And when he first took over, that was looked at as like one of the bright spots of Darvin Ham. A guy that is a player coach, that is great with communication. He sat down, talked with Russell Westbrook, was very transparent with Russell Westbrook. Hey, this is what's going on. This is the deal. Even when Russ ended up going to the bench, they talked about, hey, we had this communication, we had this dialogue, we had these conversations, right? You saw like good communication early on. And then you saw like as things progressed, it was like the communication got worse. It was like, nah, this is how we're going to do things because I'm the head coach. I don't know if it became like an ego thing. I don't know if it's just he lost players and he just felt like he didn't have that outlet. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, it's bad. Because you need to have communication with your players. LeBron at times looks like he's checked out. Right? Like Anthony Davis there's videos literally of Darvin Ham starting to write down and Anthony Davis is like, and gets up and walks away. Like, that's not good. That's not a good aesthetic for a team and your head coach, right? I mean, there's even a video that's going around of D'Lo and Spencer Dinwiddie, like, changing a play that Darvin Ham's writing up for the game winner, right? Like, it's just, those are the kind of things. And look, I do think that Darvin Ham, at times, being open in the sense of, like, hey, you guys are the players, so you guys can see things that maybe I don't. So like, hey, like you'll see at times he'll defer to LeBron. Like, LeBron, what do you think? And you see LeBron drawing up the play. This is what, right? Like, and Darvin Ham's like, cool, like, let's do that. I do appreciate that from a head coach. Because again, the players are the ones that are playing the game. So at times it is nice to have, you want to have that trust in your players. You want to have that open door policy where players can call you out and players can change things as they see fit, right? And then you as a head coach, you are buying into that, right? Like, there needs to be that give and take, right? But it seems like that give and take is only with certain, it's the favorites in the office. And if you're not part of the cool kids club, then you don't get to have that, right? And now it looks like D'Lo's kind of brought into the club, but if he wasn't part of the club, then guess what? Now you don't get any communication. That's kind of what I gathered. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Again, what was your interpretation of the article? Like I said, to me, it was just kind of more in depth what D'Lo had explained already to me. And it just is another clear example that Darvin Ham, I just think, is in over his head. I think as an assistant coach, he's great. I think there are some benefits from Darvin Ham. I think there are some good things that Darvin Ham brings that, like, if just not as a head coach, right? If he was your primary assistant, or if you had a guy on the bench that was like Terry Stotts, right? Have him on the bench who he understands the lineup structure. He understands the X's and O's. He understands the things that are necessary to operate in a successful manner on the basketball court. It's kind of how I feel. But anyway, again, love your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. If you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.